Are you sound people happy? Okay. Well, why don't we start, presumably slowly.
Flat. It's so flat.
I thought to myself as I rumbled across the unchanging prairie landscape. After the long previous day in which I'd finally made it to Calgary, I was graciously allowed to sleep on the blow-up mattress of an ex-coworker who I had messaged after 2 years of no contact to shamelessly ask for a place to sleep. After a brief catch-up and exploration of downtown Calgary, I was on the road early the next morning, plodding along on a conveyor belt of fog, until it burnt off, exposing the golden yellow fields of hay bales and corn and the burnt oranges of a looming fall. In what was to be my shortest day on the road, I arrived into Regina mid-afternoon, where I'd be staying with an old childhood friend for the night. After a lovely fall afternoon and night in Regina, in which I was shamefully impressed by the city, I was back on the road in the blink of an eye, drudging through the dense fog once again, my large Tim Hortons double-double, my beacon of light. I was well rested and caffeinated, and the goal today was to get through Saskatchewan and blow through the Paris of the Prairies, known to some as Winnipeg, and to make entry into northern Ontario by nightfall. And while the drive was flat, the scenery sparse, it had me enthralled, far removed from the lush forests, picturesque oceans, towering mountains, and a world away from the intensity of Vancouver. It was a glimpse into another world, what some might call the real world. This was the breadbasket of Canada, home of tough, kind people who weathered the elements and took care of each other. Despite what the West Coast elitists would tell you, there was a real beauty to the prairies. And to all the West Coast elitists out there who think there's only one livable part of Canada, here's a message to you. First of all, who do you think you are thinking you're better than us? Tommy Douglas and socialized healthcare. And then another thing. Jordan Everly, World Juniors goal. Ooh, sorry if I offended anyone, but boy am I glad to get that off my chest. So anyways, on I went, and after a brief stop at a roadside diner outside of Winnipeg, and a rare instance where I didn't eat in the car, I was back on the highway, pushing east to Ontario. And at first slowly, then all at once, the landscape began to change. No longer was I surrounded by golden fields of corn or hay. Instead, I was surrounded by the greens, oranges, and reds of weather-beaten trees. And as I drove further still, the rockiness of the Canadian Shield began to exert its presence. And as I began to lose light, I needed to find a town and then a motel to stay at for the night. And around 9 p.m. that night, after I'd finally found a motel room and checked in, I ate dinner quietly at a bustling roadside truck stop before crawling and collapsing into bed.